Well, look at that. It's finally dead. So this is the Sniper EFI system I put on from way back in 2016. And this has been on this engine and two other engines during the time I've had it. And never had any issues with it up until just the other day. I started the truck, backed it out of the garage, and all of a sudden it started running like a diesel. And I looked at the AFR readout and it was like 35-1. So it went super lean. And when I took a look in the top of it when it was running, the only injector that was working was this one. So there's issues with the plugs on the side, or the injector plugs coming loose, and so I took them apart. I did some 3D printed inserts in the old plugs to make sure that they stayed on. Everything checked out good. I kind of tapped on some of the injectors, put it back together, and still same issue. So I moved injectors around to make sure they weren't bad injectors, and the problem followed the wiring, not the injector. So at that point, I reached out to Holley and kind of explained the problem, did a quick data log, sent it to them. They took a look at it, called me back and said, yeah, it's a bad injector driver is what it looks like. So, you know, I know these things kind of have a bad reputation from some people, but honestly, as little trouble as I've had it. I mean, it's just 2024, so this thing's been on here somewhere around, or been working for 7-8 years now, and for aftermarket parts, you know, that's not too bad. So it's time to replace it. And unfortunately, the other engine's not done. The other engine's getting the Terminator EFI, or multi-port EFI. So what do I do for now? Well, I picked up another fuel injection system. I'm not going back to a carburetor. You know, some guys love them, some guys hate them. I posted on the Ford Truck Facebook group, you know, a picture of this, that it had finally died after the time that it's been on. And there was a lot of people commenting about how their carburetors from 2016 were still working. And, you know, good for them. You know, they've had better luck with carburetors than I've had, apparently. I never had much luck with them. I don't know that I was ever able to tune one really well. But I can tell most of those guys with carburetors from 2016 that this thing has increased my fuel mileage enough that it paid for itself 2 or 3 times over versus the miles per gallon I was getting out of a carburetor on this engine alone. And that's not with some of the other engines that were on that were worse. Anyway, let's talk about what I'm gonna replace this with. It might come as kind of a surprise to people. Gonna go back with the exact same unit that is on it today. I looked at the Sniper 2, the Atomic EFI 2, for the changes I'd have to make, and as well as the system worked for me the first time, I didn't see any real reason to change it up. The truck's already plumbed, it's already set up for this. For the duration of the time this engine's still gonna be in this truck, I think it's gonna be fine. They did make a few changes to it that I've noticed, but no, I just didn't see any reason to reinvent the wheel on something for a short-term solution. And this engine's going to be transplanted into something else when it comes out, and I think this system's going to work just fine there also. So that's what we're going to do, is pull the old one off, put the new one on. I'm sort of half tempted to pull the sides off, pull the injectors, see if they've revised the plugs any. And if they haven't, go ahead and 3D print the inserts for the plugs and just stop that before it started. Another reason I went with this system, so if you check out Summit Racing's pricing, the new Sniper 2 is quite a bit more expensive. Where this kit has come down so much in price, I think it was like $100 for the full kit with, you know, everything that you need to install it. You know, new touch screen, all new sensors, coil driver, everything. The O2 sensor, you know, the full fuel system kit with, this time it has a more revised fuel pump than what the first kit came with. So I may change that up at some point. Because as of the time that I'm filming this, this whole kit has been the original. I'm still on the original O2 sensor, the original fuel pump. Everything that was original to this kit when I first got it in 2016 is still on there. So, you know, it's not a bad deal today if you want to get into fuel injection and you want to do it a little bit cheaper. Yes, they did revise some things on this system with the Sniper 2 that I think is probably an improvement if you're starting from scratch. But if you're starting from scratch on a budget and you know how to wire, your engine's in good condition, and you understand the basic tuning of these systems, it's a great, it works great. I think a lot of the problems, and you know, flame me if you want, but I think a lot of the problems that people had with this initial system, or this first system, was they didn't know what they were doing. You know, they didn't solder their wiring connections. They didn't, you know, seal up their exhaust systems to where they weren't, you know, air before the O2 sensor, exhaust leaks, things like that. Old engines that were wore out, that fuel injection didn't help at all, probably magnified the existing issues that were covered up by the inefficiencies of a carburetor. I mean, that's my take on it. I don't know. You know, I've worked on quite a few of these for guys, and the majority of the ones that I fixed, and I won't say all of them because we did have one that actually had a legit issue from Holley out of the box. The rest of them that I fixed have all been related to faulty wiring, EMI, you know, stuff, the way the wires were run just didn't work. You know, exhaust leaks, cracks in exhaust manifolds, and they can't figure out why it's, you know, running the way it is, things like that. You know, all easy fixes that, you know, you just have to do, that would be the same with any other fuel injection system, not just the Sniper, but anything else fuel injected would have worked the same way. They'd have had trouble. And, you know, that the programming, you know, it is self-learning, but that's kind of a broad statement. You know, you really have to know how to tune. You have to get in, understand the software. You can do it from the handheld. Get a computer, get the cable, tune it with this desktop software. You're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of what you can do on that handheld thing. So I mean, yeah, there's some things that Holley kind of leaves out about the system, but you know, overall, I've been happy with it. And I don't plan to go a different direction or different company or anything like that. So we'll do a quick swap and go through the basics of setting one of these up and fire it up and see how it looks. All right, so I went ahead and decided to pull this one apart. This is the new model that I'm getting ready to install. I wanted to see if they'd done anything differently with the plugs before I printed off the inserts. And they have. So on my version, the first version, this is all open inside, and those female connectors just kind of float around in there. The whole clip is made out of rubber, so it's like does not really positively lock onto these injectors. These are look like a more factory injector style plug than what it had on it from the very first version that I had from 2016 anyway. Those click on pretty good, you know, they're sealed, so I don't think I'm gonna have to do anything with this one. I think I'm just gonna put the side back on and put it on the truck. I just wanted to show that on video because yeah, that's definitely different than what the earlier versions were built like. I may take mine off and take the side off real quick when I get it off the truck, just to kind of show you guys the difference in plugs. All right, well, I thought I was filming. Turns out I wasn't. But anyway, I did get the new Sniper installed. It won't work with the old handheld. I had to use the new one, so that means I'm gonna have to run all the wires back through the cab and everything. And obviously I haven't tied all this stuff up yet. It's still a bit of a mess here. It is reading fine off the old O2 sensor, so I haven't installed the new one and probably won't until I need to. But let's go ahead and fire it up. I built the initial config on it. And I verified that all the injectors were working again. Make sure it's still neutral because that would suck. to go. So, yeah, all I've really got left to do to button this up is, like I said, just finish adjusting the idle, tie up some of the wires. Again, other than that, yeah, I think she's good. So if you guys have any questions about this, you know, sniper system or whatever, post them in the comments. I mean, like I said, overall, I think the system's pretty good. One thing I wanted to mention earlier that I think helps a lot, this is what they call a phenolic spacer. So this intake manifold is warm, right? This throttle body is so cold, it's sweating. I mean, like, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it does a good job keeping the throttle body cool, which keeps the heat out of the ECU, and heat and electronics, they don't play well together, right? And everybody knows that. So I think that's a big plus on these. But other than that, yeah, it's a done deal, and hopefully it gets me through and until the new engine is done. I'd say that, but I'm sure it'll run fine. But yeah, thanks for watching. Any of you guys like tractor content, I've got a bunch coming up on this guy here real soon. I just had to get this running again so I could get it out of the way and this in. A little bit of maintenance, a little bit of upgrades, and installing some parts that I've been looking for a while. So if you want to check that out, that video should be up in a few days, maybe 4 or 5 from this one. So thanks for watching. You didn't think he was getting rid of me that easy, did you? So one thing I found real quick. So these are the SD cards. This is the old one from the old system with my current tune on it. This is the new one from the current system, the new system. So if I fire up power to the ECU, right, and I go home and file, starting to chew through the camera. Yep. Okay. Let's go here. And then global config, right? So currently, since my camera figures out how to read, so it sees nothing. So I take the new SD card that come with the computer, or with the sniper, plug it in and it sees that base tune, right? Pop that out. Take the SD card with the old tune on it. And nothing shows up. And the SD card's in the slot. Oh, this phone. So the SD card's in there, but the sniper does not read it. So I'm going to have to verify whether this handheld firmware and sniper firmware are on the same versions as the old one. If they're not, I'm going to upgrade it and hopefully be able to pull my tune off of the old SD card and load it onto this new sniper. Because if not, I'm going to have to pull that tune up on the laptop, run through and duplicate all the settings into a new tune, which should theoretically work fine, but who knows? You know, this stuff sometimes is a bit finicky. But anyway, I thought that was worth mentioning, but that is it for real this time. See you, peace.